Alrighty then, this is Walter, iWalter, and tonight I got a guest. It's Todd Thomas. I'm going to have him talk a little bit, but I've been off the air since the weekend. I said I was going to have a guest. This time I do, and it's Mr. TJP. So,
hello.
Yo, so what's been going on?
All kind of fun stuff. All kind of crazy people on the highways, of course.
Yeah, I heard you got in a couple of people who cut you off, clipped you almost, things like that, I understand.
Yeah, I've just seen, you never really, never ceases to amaze the things you see people do while they're supposed to be driving. But yeah, it's a lot of the shake your head moments, but I survived it, so I'm grateful for that, I guess.
Yeah, it was fun. Well, that was, I always hate driving myself. Now, we were on driving around today, actually. We were around the KOP area in Valley Forge, and then we had to go over to Varnum Park, is it?
Varnum Picnic Area in Valley Forge National Park.
Yeah, I hate to tell you, there was nobody over there. Yeah, that's known for its, not that we are, but yeah, you always can find people men who back their cars in and try to look for sexual predators so they can go to the bathroom or in the woods and throw their dirty condoms, I guess.
And then they back into something else.
Oh my. So, yeah, we did that. We checked that out a few times, though, actually, so.
Surprisingly predator-free today, very surprisingly, especially with the weather being as nice as it was.
Yeah, so we lucked out, actually, to say the most. So, and yeah, I'll have to ask because I'm not a big sports fan, but I know, Todd, you are into sports and baseball, and you're happy now because the Mets are winning. And
yeah, it's been a very good week or so with them. They've won 8 games in a row, including sweeping the Philadelphia Phillies. Booyah! As a Mets fan who grew up in the Philadelphia area, it could be challenging at times dealing with the Philly fans and whatnot. A lot of good-natured ribbing between myself and people, that I worked with and whatnot. But it's actually kind of ironic because both teams kind of have similar histories. If you look at them, they've both had their shares of winning and losing, and Phillies have been around a lot longer than the Mets, but they work in similar cycles where right now it looks like the Mets are going to be good and the Phillies are going to be pretty bad. And for the last several years, it's been the other way around. The Phillies had their streak there where they were pretty good, the Mets were pretty bad. So it should be enjoyable for me as a Mets fan. Mets have a young upcoming team, and the Phillies are kind of, coming to a cycle where they have a lot of aging players and, not too many good replacements. So, yeah, I've been very happy lately. I can kind of, good-naturedly rub it in the Phillies fans' faces because they are known to do that when it's the other way around, of course.
Well, that's not too bad. So, yeah, you're definitely psyched about that. So
yeah, it's been a good start to the season. It's early in the season, but the last couple of years as a Mets fan, it's been frustrating. I lived in New York for quite a while. I got to go to some games. The place would be half empty, or sometimes even 90% empty. They have a really nice stadium. It's relatively new. It's got a Shake Shack, a real Shake Shack, unlike the one around here. A lot of amenities, and it's a really nice stadium. And fortunately now the team's getting better, so they're kind of on the rise. Where I think the Skankies, also known as the Yankees, most Mets fans, if you're a true Mets fan, you're going to hate the Yankees. That's just the way it works. They're kind of like on the Phillies on the downside, so it's good to see the Mets' fortunes rising and the Yankees and the Phillies going down. As a Mets fan, that's the best of both worlds right there, really.
Well, that sounds pretty decent. I know you're happy when the Mets win. They go pretty far sometimes, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a while, and like I said, you got to take the good with the bad, and for the last several years, it's been mostly bad. So it's nice that they seem to be moving in the right direction. So hopefully, got good times are ahead while the other two teams continue to suffer, hopefully. Sorry, Phillies fans and Yankee fans, but hey, nothing lasts forever.
And the truth hurts, obviously.
Yeah, got to rub it in.
Yeah. And it's not that hard, obviously, either. So.
Yeah, like I said, I've gotten plenty of it, on my end too, and your team sucks or whatever. And it's funny, I have a mutual Facebook friend who's also from this area in Philadelphia, and I was reading her comments today. She was kind of giving it to the Phillies fans, and they're trying to make excuses and tell her that it's temporary, and it's just funny because I could see how it's trending, and like I said, I think most Phillies fans who are honest will admit their team's kind of needs to rebuild, and every team goes through that, but there's still people who are like saying, "Oh, the Mets are lucky," and this and that. It's like, well, if you really paid attention to what's going on, you'd realize it's you're just kind of wishing that was the case, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Accept the truth, people.
They can't. You can't handle the truth.
Exactly. I mean, it's like I said, it's a long season. It just started, but it's looking like it's going to be a good one for the Mets. So yeah, I'm happy about that for sure.
Well, it's only started, but it looks like it's going to be a good start and probably continue to the end of the season. So
yeah, like I said, I'm hoping that's the case. We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
as long as we finish ahead of the Phillies and do better than the Yankees, I'll be very happy.
Yankees is another New York team, but I guess they're not as good. So
yeah, they just, in my opinion, they have a lot of fans who just kind of jump on the bandwagon when they're good, and when they're not good, they'll probably try to become Mets fans, which annoys the heck out of me because anybody who knows me knows I've been a Mets fan since I was a little kid. My dad slapped a Mets hat on my head and it stuck, and that's the one team throughout my years of coming from New Jersey, living in New York, I stuck with, and through thick and thin, excuse me.
Yeah.
It's been, like I said, plenty of good and bad, but that's true fandom, is you stick with your team regardless.
Oh yeah.
Not just go for the flavor of the month and say, I'm going to go out and buy a Yankees hat while I'm down the shore. I won't mention any names. Just because everybody else is wearing one. I'm not like that. I'm not going to apologize. I like the Miami Dolphins, and they haven't won football Super Bowl since like the 70s, but it is what it is. You kind of, if you're a real fan, you kind of just hope for better days and kind of live with it, and not say I'm going to become a Seahawks fan or I'm going to become a Patriots fan because they win Super Bowls. It doesn't work that way for me personally.
Yeah, I can understand that. Now, me on the other hand, I don't follow sports, so I'll just buy the paraphernalia because I like the way it looks.
Yeah, and sometimes we just happen to be, they opened up a new Dick's Sporting Goods. Let me paraphrase that. Not a new Dick, but a new Dick's Sporting Goods in King of Prussia. And they had some mostly NHL teams hats on sale. Excuse me. And we actually found out there was even greater discounts than they were advertising because they weren't really updating their prices. But yeah, we just happened to walk in, and some decent looking hats for like $10. So we took advantage of that today. And
decent looking girls.
Not the ones that work there, that's for sure. But
yeah, that's true.
So. Yeah, maybe just shopping in that mall. But yeah, so that was kind of like a pleasant. iWalter actually had been in there the day prior.
Yes.
And purchased some hats, and yeah, these are legitimate, official hats that are like $10. So that was a nice find for sure today. Yeah,
that's true. So yeah, we made out pretty well with that. Hey, you know what? Do you have anything else you want to say about the Mets? That's cool, but I was also going to even mention, I know you're not too happy about it on a different note, but if you have anything else about the Mets, let me know. You don't look too happy about the new, different story, but the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, that's a great topic you bring up. I'll admit, going back to days of early childhood, it's kind of funny because I've had this discussion with Walter and people, mutual friends in the past, but, when I grew up, comics weren't cool. If you were a geek, you were usually picked on or, kind of shunned or whatnot. Because I remember when I moved to the Philadelphia area, I was like 12 years old. My mother was still picking out clothes for me, probably, whatever was on sale or what she thought would be hip or appropriate, and she knew maybe. I remember some of them places don't even exist anymore. Corvettes was one of them.
Remember
King of Prussia, the old mall, it was outdoors and all that stuff. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would have a Spider-Man T-shirt or a Darth Vader T-shirt. This is in 7th grade, and I was getting picked on. Now you'd be hailed as a cool geek. And you see a lot of girls, which I think is great, that express their inner geekdom. And we go to comic conventions, and you see a lot of those people. And I just think back to when I was that age, and I'm like, wow, that's so cool that now it's cool to be a geek, And I used to wear Converse high tops, Chuck Taylors, and get made fun of, because I wore sneakers like that. And now those are considered retro and cool. I find that kind of funny. But yeah, I always read comics. I was a big Marvel guy, more so than the DC guy. Fantastic Four. I was into the classics, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Avengers, Spider-Man, all that kind of stuff. Thor. Daredevil, yes. Actually, that's one of my favorites of all time. It's all these, what you're seeing now in the Marvel Universe, which unfortunately is also part of the Disney Universe these days. But, so getting back to your original point, Fantastic Four, it just seems like that's one, part of the whole Marvel realm where they don't seem to know what they want to do with it or how to go about it. And they keep doing this, reimagining. They did with Spider-Man. Obviously, it didn't really work out too well with the new reimagining. The first movie I thought was good. The second one, nobody liked that one. But, they took Fantastic Four, and I don't necessarily disagree with them redoing it because they do that every couple of years anyway or whatnot. But, it seems to me like they just go ahead and they have to tweak things for whatever reason. I don't really know how they tied it in, but they decided to take the Human Torch, who was Johnny Blaze, and for some reason make him into an African American, which I don't quite understand how that's going to play out, because in the original, he's Sue Storm's brother.
Yeah.
So unless he's adopted or there's some kind of interracial thing, I mean, I understand modernizing things or shooting things in today's time, with Superman and all that. That's fine if you want to redo that. They do that with a lot of the shows you see on TV, like Arrow and Flash and whatnot. But I just think sometimes they make these decisions just for whatever reason, to be politically correct or. I mean, I don't care. I'll admit, I liked the Daredevil movie. A lot of people didn't like it. I think Michael Clark Duncan was a great actor. Unfortunately, he passed away. I thought he did a phenomenal job as Kingpin. Now, I grew up with Kingpin as this big, fat, white guy, 60s comics, 70s comics, 80s comics. So initially, I was like, wow. But you know what? At that time, he had the physique. It made sense. And I thought the guy was a really good actor. And I didn't have a problem with that. You know what I mean?
Well, they're returning into a white guy again. So,
Yeah, now it's on Netflix, which I do want to watch. You had to sit down and devote 15 hours to that. I was actually looking at that today, but I didn't want to get into it because I knew I probably want to watch all 15 episodes or 12, whatever it is.
So that is up now. Then.
Yeah, it is on Netflix now. That guy, Vincent D'Onofrio, is playing Kingpin. I believe he's a really good actor.
Okay.
I'm familiar with the guy who is playing Matt Murdock / Daredevil. He was on Boardwalk Empire. I believe he's an Irish actor or British actor. I thought he was a pretty good choice. He's a good actor. I really liked his character on Boardwalk Empire. Unfortunately, they killed him off before the series ended. But and the one girl from I almost said Vampire Diaries. True Blood, the redheaded girl. She's in that series as well. I'm not sure what role she plays, but I'm curious to see it.
I wonder if they have a lecturer in there, too, then.
I don't think so to this point. It might be one of those things where one of those characters might develop into that character. Yeah. I think they're smart. I haven't seen it yet, but you don't want to, basically jump into everything right away. But they're saying, which this would be interesting, they're saying, this is a grittier version. That comic, it was a grittier kind of comic. graphic novel, excuse me. It wasn't all, it wasn't like, there was a lot of blood and guts involved. And they said they kind of went with the grittiness of it, keeping to its true original, format.
Origins, yeah.
So now they're saying they think they might do that with the Punisher, which would be really cool because the Punisher is obviously a very dark, and you're going to see a lot of blood. That character, that they did some of those movies where they made him very graphic, and that's kind of in the vein of the character, the original character. And I'm hearing there's rumors they might do a Punisher series for Netflix, and I saw the actor today that they said might play the role. Offhand, I'm not that familiar with him, but he kind of had the look. That would be interesting. I'm sure they're waiting to see how Daredevil, the positive. I'm sure they'll get positive feedback on it. But just having an outlet like Netflix, if it's going to be a little grittier, a little more in the R-rated vein, I think that's a good thing, because sometimes when these movies come out, there's no way a Punisher movie should not be rated R in the theaters. The one they did with Thomas Jane, I actually did like it. It was more kind of like in the vein of introducing the character, but also having some comedic elements to it. I would have liked to have seen him do a second one, but for whatever reason, I know that didn't happen, and they had another guy, and they went to the real graphic, violent, which that one was interesting. I didn't see that one in the theaters. I don't think it did that well, but because they haven't done one since, but it was very gory and bloody and kind of tied into the original vein of the character. The guy was supposed to be like I think a Vietnam veteran that comes back, and I think he was one of Spider-Man's initial enemies, and originally in the comics, and they were at first they were not, they were he's trying to kill Spider-Man basically, from what I remember. Yeah. He was a vigilante, or perceived as one, kind of like what you're seeing with the this teaser trailer that just came out with Superman versus Batman, which we can roll into that if you'd like.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. That's just my outlook when I saw the trailer that was videotaped or whatever illegally. I don't know how else to put it. I thought it was horrible. When I saw the clearer picture that was released,
you could tell it was shot in a theater. Yeah,
absolutely.
Shaky, all that. Stuff.
I really thought. I think Ben Affleck, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he's going to do a good job. I personally think the film looks interesting. I didn't like the new Superman revamp. I thought it was not that good. I like all the other versions. I think it looks promising, because I think it's supposed to be the start into making the Justice League, because it actually has justice in the film itself. Justice League, I think. But
I guess I'm kind of trying to remain optimistic about that. It seems to me like, initially it was supposed to be like a Superman sequel. Which it's technically still is, I guess, but then you hear Superman versus Batman, and you start thinking, okay, is it really a Superman movie? And now it seems like it's developed into, basically, like you said, just almost like a commercial for the Justice League, or an excuse they obviously want to get a piece of the pie, like Marvel has with the Avengers, because that's, I think Ultron is going to just blow out all the records, and that first Avengers movie did really well at the box office. Yeah, I think this one's probably going to shatter all the records too, because there's been such there's a couple years in between, and like I said, I grew up more of a Marvel guy. I remember Ultron, the whole story arc, and it was pretty. Even as a young guy reading that, it was pretty intense, because there was a lot of things that happened that you didn't envision happening, basically Avengers getting killed and whatnot, and I don't know how they're going to spin that in the movie, but it was pretty crazy, back, and I guess I read that in the 80s, I guess. That should be interesting. But as far as the Superman movie, I actually did like the first one, the rebooting of Superman with that Zack Snyder did. Obviously, like I said, that's kind of like what I'm talking about. They're doing it in a modern day world. I like the fact that they had Zod, and it wasn't Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is going to be in this next movie, supposedly.
Yes.
I'll be honest with you, like that. I hope that's not. They kind of hinted at in the first movie. You saw Luthor corpse stuff. I think there was during one of the fight scenes with Zod, there was like a Luthor corp truck. You couldn't help but notice that.
Yeah.
But I hope that's the minimum. I don't know how they're going to squeeze all this into 2 hours. They're going to introduce Justice League characters. They're still going to have Superman, squaring off against Batman. It seems like it's. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trusting this guy knows what he's doing. I did like the movie prior to that. I was a huge fan of the Christian Bale Batman movies. I thought he was the best Batman. I liked that. I think, basically. I'm drawing a blank here on the director, but I think that guy's a phenomenal movie maker. Those three, to me, they were great. I thought that was a really good trilogy. I don't blame the guy for not wanting to go forward playing Batman. I'm going to hold off on my opinion of Ben Affleck because I don't really know. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to look at another guy right now, I guess, and not think of Christian Bale because they're still kind of using some of the elements that are the same, with the vehicles and whatnot.
Oh yeah.
So, and I just like the guy as an actor, quite honestly. But yeah, I'll try to be objective and see what happens. But it just seems like I don't know how they're going to squeeze all that into 2 hours and how they're going to wrap everything up, but they're obviously going with based on the trailer, the teaser, the whole thing where, Superman just saved everybody from Zod and everything, but now there's like backlash to people, looking at him as like the ultimate illegal alien, really. I mean, alien because he's from another planet.
Yes.
And, this is the kind of thing you would kind of expect from, reality, like in the modern day times, people, fear of the unknown and, okay, the guy saved everybody, but he's still an alien, and we're afraid of him. And there's stuff about false gods and stuff like that. So it seems like there's a backlash against him, probably because people fear, well, this guy's akin to a god. He could crush us with his bare hand if he's pledging like he did at the end of the last movie. Excuse me, like he told that one general, he's like, hey, I'm from Kansas.
Yeah.
I grew up in Kansas. I'm an American just as much as you are. Yeah, I came from another planet, but I was an infant. I grew up, I had human parents, and, I was brought up morally correct. And, that's why I did think it was interesting they decided to have him kill Zod because, the whole thing, the whole realm of Superman was like, oh, he's not going to kill anybody. But when you're in a position like that, to save everybody else, people he cared about included, who wouldn't do that? I mean, if the guy wanted him to kill him, he said, I'm going to go ballistic and, wipe out everybody you care and love unless you like basically end me. Because if I can't create a Krypton on Earth, then I'm not, that's what I'm here to do. And so he had no choice but to literally break his neck. So,
which was a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, I applauded that they had the balls to do that because a lot of times they don't want to mess with the whole, thou shalt not kill kind of a thing, and it's like, but you know what, you can have that. This is just going to another realm, but that's kind of how Arrow is, where this guy Oliver Queen comes back from being on this island for 5 years, and he's a murderer, as plain as day. But then he kind of like backs off from that. He says, "I'm done killing people. I'm gonna like bring them to justice. Lock them up or whatever." And but there's times when if someone's threatening you or someone you love, or would you put an arrow in a guy's heart? He's going to kill your mother. I mean, sometimes you get pushed into a corner like that. So Superman, I think Superman for the greater good. Kind of like that whole Star Trek thing. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. Spock talking to Kirk. If one person has to die so you can save, billions of people, that's not necessarily a bad choice, And he was faced with that, and I think he did what he had to do. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. Like I said, there's a lot. You've heard a lot of rumors and what they're trying to do. But like I said, I'm not sure how it's all going to play out and how they're going to squeeze all that into 2 or 2.5 hours.
They may even try to split it into 2 movies. You never know. But they have enough stuff there. Footage.
That was a rumor, but
really?
then I heard them deny that. So I think obviously what they're looking to do is do another. It's really a Superman sequel.
Yeah.
And then that will lead into the Justice League, which I guess will be a couple of years after that.
Yeah, when you were mentioning about the Justice League now if I remember correctly, you mentioned, I only thought it was going to be Wonder Woman and Aquaman, but now you're saying there's like almost like a plethora of different superheroes are kind of be incorporated into that movie. We don't know how many at this point.
Yeah, I've read a lot of things. I think they're going to focus primarily, like you said, on Superman, obviously Batman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman. Those are confirmed. I've seen the other people in their costumes. But there's rumors of a Barry Allen / Flash.
I like the Flash.
I think a Green Arrow maybe, or a Green Lantern, one or the other, or both. Beyond that, I'm not sure. Oh, I know. There was that other one we talked about. Cyborg, I believe.
Yeah, we were mentioning about Cyborg.
I think he's a confirmed one as well. Okay. So, I mean, that's the thing. I remember growing up reading the Avengers. There was different people coming in and out at all times. You'd have your same heroes, but then you'd have other ones that would kind of come in at some point and then leave. And I think you had that with Justice League too. There was Martian, that guy too. I think a lot of these people were come from the world of Superman, or you remember seeing them on Smallville throughout the years. And they're also going to do that. I'm drawing a blank. The one with the Joker.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. The Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, yes. Which they've. That's been featured prominently on Arrow for the last couple of years, and they just killed one of the characters off, and it's the guy, I think Deadshot, which actually was a good character, but I guess they're saying that DC didn't want them using it because I think Will Smith is playing him in that movie, and a lot of times they do that. Obviously, the parent company. There was certain characters. Remember they were talked about putting Bruce Wayne on Smallville, but they never did it. Yeah. Because they started doing the Batman movies, and I guess they said they still wanted to do it, but DC wouldn't let them because they wanted to keep that, I guess, just as a film character and not have him on TV, which would have been cool, but I think you could still do both and have different people play the roles. But, yeah, so I think there's a lot of that going on now, and...
Well, the Suicide Squad's supposed to also have Harley Quinn, which I think was in your Arrow show. They
alluded to her in one. I think she was locked up in Arkham. But then I read there's a conflict there with Gotham, which is on Fox.
Yeah.
So they said that's why they never really confirmed it, and they're not going to go forward because I know Gotham is going to have obviously Batman-related characters priority, like you've seen a young Poison Ivy,
and Catwoman,
and the big thing, you probably haven't seen it yet, but she actually contributed to a guy's death last week, so like that's they're showing that as like,
you might have sent me a link. I think I read about that.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they're going to have priority over anything like. Joker. They kind of introduced the guy who's going to come into the Joker. Yeah, the Riddler, but the Joker as well. He's a pretty good actor. He's one of the guys on Shameless. Red-haired guy. He's a pretty good actor. They just did like a real teaser with him, like with the maniacal laugh at the end of the episode, and it was pretty cool. But you haven't seen or heard from him since. But yeah, obviously they're going to have. They're leading up to their second season, and they'll have, all the Batman-related characters. So I'm sure they get first dibs other than movies,
Actually, you remind me of something, because I'm a couple episodes behind on Gotham, because you mentioned that now. I noticed that they started introducing the character of Scarecrow. I don't know how far they went with that, but it was definitely the Scarecrow.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I actually had a couple twists I didn't see. I thought that... the one character who's a good actor also He was the gentleman from Boxing Helena.
Yes,
Julian Sands.
Yes.
I thought he was going to end up being Scarecrow, but it actually was
the son.
Right. So that was a twist I didn't see coming. But yeah, they've done a good job of just like hinting. You see a lot of these people are young now, like Catwoman. Obviously, Bruce Wayne. He's not Batman yet. He's like 8 years old.
It's pretty hot too.
There was Dick Grayson. They showed the circus that he worked in on one episode, the Graysons. So you're seeing like little hints of stuff and different characters, different villains. So it's kind of cool. That was one of those shows I said, this should be pretty cool. And I think it's gotten pretty good. There's only a couple episodes left, but I heard the ratings aren't necessarily that great, but they did that thing. I remember that kind of hurt Lost going back a few years where they had an extended break. And it wasn't on for, like a couple months, it seemed. And then I think that kind of hurts ratings when shows come back because people have a tendency to, focus their, maybe they start watching something else and they said, well, you know what, I'm tired of waiting for the show to come back. Screw it, I'm going to start watching, I don't know, Dancing with the Stars or whatever the hell they're watching. And some people are like that. A lot of people watch stuff on DVRs and playback and whatnot, but it has been really good, and I'm kind of curious to see, they're showing a lot of previews, like you said, stuff. The one guy who looks like he's going to be interesting is the guy who's going to turn to the Riddler.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I don't know what's going on with that girl that he keeps on hitting on. Is that supposed to be his girlfriend eventually?
He just has like a thing for her, but it's weird how they both have that similar look. And the thing I like about that guy is, most of these people are unknowns for the most part. He kind of reminds me of Jim Carrey in that role.
He does.
Yeah, he's got a similar look, and I don't know. That looks like it's going to take a twist over the next couple of weeks with him. But I think he's been a good addition to that show, and that should be interesting to see how all that stuff develops going forward.
Yeah, well, that's true. I mean, I'm not too sure about the Penguin though, because that was like introduced, I think, day one.
Yeah, I actually like that guy too, but it seems like at times it's like kind of. He's all tied into the mob and all that stuff. And, that looks like the kind of thing where he won't become like the Penguin we know until somewhere down the road. But they've done, I think, a good job of kind of, bouncing him around. He's on different sides every time at different times. And, I thought he was, we knew he wasn't dead, but they try to make it like he was dead. They wanted Jim Gordon to kill him. And, he pretended he did, but he's been all over the place. He's kind of one of those guys. He's just like, trying to move up in the world and take down whoever he has to do it. But I think that's been interesting too. And that was never one of my favorite characters from the comic or especially that. I didn't like the
second
Danny
movie.
DeVito. Yeah, to me that was just like I don't know. That didn't really do much for me, but I think there's definitely potential there, and it should be interesting.
I wonder if we're going to bring in Mr. Freeze and stuff like that, because that was actually from the TV series, actually, as that was introduced.
Yeah, I mean, that's, Batman's been around for a long time, just, Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of different ways to go. You have a lot of villains, you have a lot of potential. So there's been some teases of people and whatnot. So it should be interesting to see what they do. I'm sure, like I said, the first season's almost over, so it'll be interesting to see what they do with the second season, who they decide to bring in there and kind of introduce to the world of Batman / Gotham.
Well, I wonder if we're going to go with the Gotham show because I wasn't too thrilled, in my opinion. I wasn't too thrilled where they went the whole gangster way. I don't even know what the character of Fish is supposed to fit in.
That, I think, was just created, I believe, for the show.
That's what
Carmen Falcone, I know that was in the other movies, the ones with Christian Bale.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, because I'm trying to remember the guy. He's a really good actor who they had portrayed in Batman Begins. He was like the crime boss at the time. British actor who I can picture him, but I can't remember his name right now.
I'll have to go back and watch those.
Yeah, and it's kind of cool too because they had, it kind of ties into like Arrow where they had Ra's al Ghul in the first Batman Begins, and he's been the central villain this year on Arrow.
Oh, okay.
Which is interesting because he kind of comes from the realm of Batman, but I like when they kind of cross over to. Yeah, that's the cool thing I like about Arrow and Flash. You have Central City and the other one. I'm trying to blank.
I am too, actually, because I do watch The Flash.
But, they're supposed to be like neighboring towns, so it's kind of cool. They have crossovers and whatnot, and it would make sense that, they'd be helping each other out or teaming up, to help each other fight a villain or whatever. They're actually going to do another spin-off on that show, which kind of concerns me a little bit, but it's going to be a lot of the characters you've seen on Arrow. They're going to kind of like become their own like squad, I guess, mostly heroes, I guess, but in other, I don't know if it's going to be the same towns. I'm not exactly sure, but there's going to be heroes and villains that you've seen on the show, like on this other show. I just hope they don't bite off more than they can chew with like all these, just because there's going to be you're aware of this, a Supergirl, but that's going to be on CBS, but CBS owns the CW, so it's probably the same production companies and whatnot. I know that was supposedly going to be on CW, and then it wasn't. It was going to be on CBS, but I think they're going to cross those shows all. You're going to have people from Arrow on that show and vice versa, so it should be interesting to see how that's going to work, too. I just hope they don't, get to the point where they oversaturate it and you have like 80 million superhero shows. I'd rather have 3 really good ones than 10 that maybe 5 are good and 5 suck.
Well, that's true, because did that back with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He did the spinoff as Angel, and that actually both shows did really well, and they went back and forth between both universes.
I think 2 is 2 is good. Like you see that with Arrow and
Green Arrow,
Flash, but
yeah.
I think if you start bringing in another one, I even wonder if it's gonna, have the same. Because then you have Gotham on another network. So, because I'll be honest with you, like I've never gotten into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like ABC. I don't even know. I think the ratings on that are not that great. To me, it just like didn't appeal to me because it doesn't really have superheroes. I guess they have cameos every now and then, but to me, that's kind of like similar to what they show on Arrow, and they used to have it on Smallville. That it's like a behind-the-scenes CIA type agency with that Amanda Waller running it, and I don't know. To me, that's more like it just didn't. I mean, it didn't really appeal to me. Quite honestly, that's why I've never really gotten into it.
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah, you can kind of... Well, that one I never got into. There's just too many shows on, and now you're telling me that Daredevil had started on Netflix, which I was waiting for, so that's another superhero show if you really think about it.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel, I guess, has a deal with Netflix. Like I said, there's rumors they might do a Punisher. The cool thing about that is, they release them all as like a season, so you can watch them at your leisure. I've been trying not to read too much on it because, some people have seen 4 episodes, some people have seen them all. So that's good and bad. I mean, you could binge watch it, but then you're probably like, oh shit, I'm not going to see it again for another year or whatever,
That's true.
But, it's good. It's different. I think it's probably grittier from what I heard than a network show.
You can do more on that Netflix probably then too than commercials.
Yeah, and that's cool too because you don't deal with commercials, and I think they're smart to kind of do that because I know there's been some shows obviously that have done really well on Netflix, and like I said, you don't want to have like 20 superhero shows on the networks because that probably would basically kill it. Mention that there is like 2 other Netflix shows. The other one I was watching for a while, that's one with I can't remember. It was about Pennsylvania too. I should know. I can't remember the name of it though. I watched the first season. I didn't watch the second. So yeah, I'm drawing a blank now. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'm glad you told me about that.
I'll have to catch up on Gotham, obviously. I mentioned this to Todd before. I'm a couple episodes behind. It does sound interesting. It just went in a different direction. Obviously, my favorite show is Flash, and yours, Todd's, is the Green Arrow. But it seems like this year, by the way, and next year is going to be a lot of, more so than any other year, a lot of superhero movies. Of course, we got the Kevin Smith movies that have nothing to do with superheroes, but he is a comic book geek. His movies are coming out like Mallrats 2 and Clerks 3.
Running out of ideas.
Yeah. I guess he gave up on Moose Jaws for now, which I don't mind. I am looking forward to a Yoga Hose or so. Don't ask me why. I know. But, it seems like a good season. I mean, there's a lot more. I'm not sure how far we want to go tonight. But, hey, that was another thing. Not a superhero movie, but that new Star Wars movies looked really good, too.
Yeah, we didn't bring that up. I was a little skeptical about that when they said they're going to do another 3 movies now in the future. Plus, you look at some of these people that were in the original series, and you're like, how much longer can they contribute? But I guess
Carrie Fisher. Yeah.
My understanding, plus Harrison Ford's, the guy's getting up there.
He is.
And Mark Hamill is not young anymore either.
No. Which was in Flash.
But I guess basically, yes. Excuse me. From what I understand, they're just going to kind of be introductory to whatever's going to follow in the future movies. I don't think you'll see them in beyond this movie. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know anything. I'm not dealing out spoilers, but there's even been rumors that they might kill off Han Solo, something like that. Wouldn't surprise me, because I think it's more about it's going to be like Star Wars: The Next Generation.
Yeah.
So they're going to focus on their kids and their abilities as Jedis, or have Jedi abilities and whatnot, leading into
the next gen.
Right, the next probably 2 films they're going to do, or I think they're doing 3 more. And I know they're planning on doing more animated stuff and all this stuff. Because Disney's got a hold of it now, and Lucas turned it over to them. J.J. Abrams, I think, has done a great job with Star Trek, so I'm curious to see how he's going to incorporate this. I was, like I said, at first I was like, but I did see that trailer, and it was kind of cool to see Han Solo and Chewie, and obviously that's Luke who's doing the voiceover, to the whole thing, and you kind of see that metal hand come up and touch R2-D2. He recognizes his hand, and supposedly he's kind of living in exile, I guess. He kind of looks like he's starting to look like Obi-Wan Kenobi, I guess.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, that was his mentor. But
now, is Lucas really going to maybe play Jabba the Hutt in the next movie?
I think he might actually be the Millennium Falcon. I'm not sure.
Okay, or one of the planets, maybe.
With a couple extra chins on the decks as chins. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the fact that he's probably not involved is probably a good thing. I think J.J. Abrams really, probably has a good game plan, and it should be interesting because obviously it's been a long time. The last 3 movies were prequels, however you felt about them. This is kind of, I guess, supposed to be 30 years after, the last crappy
movies.
What was the one with the Ewoks? Yeah. No, I'm talking about the original Return of the Jedi.
Jar Jar Binks, I guess you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the original 3, Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be called Revenge of the Jedi, but then they changed the title.
The Sith, Revenge of the Sith.
No. I'm talking about Return of the Jedi, the 3rd of the original series.
Oh.
Which I guess would be... Was it 4, 5, and 6?
Yeah.
That was my least favorite. Empire was the best.
Oh, yes.
That's when he started getting into the whole Ewoks, became more important, like the whole merchandising. But
the Union plumbers on the Death Star.
Yeah, so they wrapped everything up in a neat little bow there. So I think it's supposed to take place 30 years after that. You'll see the dark side, so to speak, resurfacing. And there's even rumors that Darth Sidious, is it Sidious? The guy who was the original Empire He was supposedly killed off, but I think he might still somehow be alive.
That would be pretty good.
And he's been the original actor in all 6 movies. That guy's actually a pretty good actor.
Okay, I thought he might have passed away. I want to see.
Well, they made it. No, not in real life, but they made it look like Darth Vader killed him.
Oh yeah. That would be good
in Jedi. But supposedly he might still be floating around out there.
Now,
so I mean, it's something to look forward to because it's actually this year. It's this Christmas, so I think that and the Bond movie comes out in November.
Oh,
so.
The next Bond movie.
It might be the last one with Daniel Craig, which I think it's unfortunate because I like the grittier, modern day Bond. I think it's cool, that he's actually more like an assassin and not all this little kitschy, gadgety shit. I mean that kind of fit into some of the Bonds in the past. But I think it's more modern day and it makes more sense. And I know he's getting older. He's probably tired of doing it, but well,
how many movies has he done then at this point?
I think this will be his 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, this will be his 4th. I think he's kind of dropping hints he doesn't want to do any more beyond this. I'm sure it's physically grueling and whatnot. So I hope if they do it that way, he goes out with a bang, so to speak. But beyond that, I don't know what they're going to do. There's been some rumors, but who knows?
Can only hope for the best. Hey, one last question on Star Wars. You think that Carrie Fisher will revamp her skippy outfit from when she was the sex slave or whatever?
Well, if you can imagine Jabba wearing a bikini, that might be more what you'd be in line. I'm sure they're going to do a lot of CGI with her. Where they do that thing where they remember
Tron
back
Legacy they did that,
right? And then in the Heart videos when Ann Wilson got really heavy, they shot it like where they made her really thin, like the way they shot it back in the 80s, I guess. Where they thin you out somehow.
Oh yeah.
I forget what they call that technique, but. I have a feeling that their roles are going to be kind of, minor
short
in these movies. Maybe she'll try to eat the Death Star or something. I don't know.
Less Kleenex. I'll be running to the bathroom less often, I hope.
I mean, it's great for these people because, other than Harrison Ford, he's pretty much acted.
He's pretty hot, too, though.
he's been, in a lot of movies since. Those two kind of, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill, they've been in the cave practicing their Jedi mind tricks, or eating, or crashing their cars and ruining their faces.
Yes.
He did that during the first 3 movies. But, I'm sure it's great for them, to get one little last hurrah, most likely. But I think it's kind of like it's leading toward the next generation, and that probably would have run with it after this movie comes out.
Well, that'd be pretty interesting. I just hope, because I hate to say it, but J.J. Abrams is a great guy. And, he obviously did Lost, he did Star Trek, and now he's doing Star Wars. But he has this tendency that he'll do a few things, and then he just loses interest, and that's the end of it. He's done that. He's got a history about that behind him.
Well, I guess this came up. I think he was more than happy to do Star Trek. He did the first 2. He was going to do the 3rd, but I guess this kind of got dropped in his lap, and I'm sure they made it financially rewarding for him. And it's a new challenge, obviously, to be the first guy, really, other than Lucas, to get involved in it. It should be interesting. Lost, I think he kind of handed that off after the initial, start, but... I don't know where he'd go from here. He's running 2 of the bigger franchises out there, Star Trek and Star Wars. I don't really, know where you go from there. It'd be interesting to see. But obviously he'll be tied into the next
3 movies.
2 more after this. So he'll be tied up with. That takes a lot of your time, I think, the way they shoot those Star Wars movies. So.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Maybe he could do Howard the Duck since Lucas screwed that up too. But that's another story.
Well, we never know, because honestly, now that you brought that up, Todd, you remember it was in your movie.
Gardens of the Galaxy.
Yes, Gardens of the Galaxy. They did bring in, at the very end, if you sat through the credits, mostly everybody did, I'm sure, you would see Howard the Duck. So, there was kind of a setup there to begin with, I would say.
Yeah, it seems like everybody in the Marvel universe now is going to get their 15 minutes. There's been rumors about for years, Iron Fist, Black Panther,
The Groot.
Stuff like that. Characters I grew up reading, and would be interested to see how they would pull them off. But and I guess now, because they're going to have the Netflix option, you might see series as opposed to movies for some of them. But because there's so many. I mean, I wasn't really familiar with Guardians of the Galaxy. That was kind of more after I was reading comics, stopped reading. But I loved it. Yeah, I didn't really know what to expect, and I guess it kind of did have a Star Wars type vein to it. But yeah, I mean, I was familiar with the Nova part of it. I remember the character Nova. Yeah, I know it's a couple years away, but I'm definitely looking forward to that as well. But like you said, yeah, Howard the Duck. I actually read that comic as a child. It was kind of a gritty thing too, and then they kind of made it into like a kiddie thing with Lucas. Lucas didn't have a very good track record outside of Star Wars. A lot of his movies were kind of
American Graffiti.
Yeah. That wasn't a bad movie, but
Happy Days came out of that one.
Yeah, basically. But like I said, I don't know really where they'd go with Howard the Duck. I don't think it would be as he might be better as like a companion piece in another movie. I don't really know how they're going to do that yet.
You never know. They might try to. If there's money to be made, they're going to do it. Yeah, I mean, and you know what? It's funny, because we're almost running onto an hour mark right now, which is good. Hey, this is great, because I actually have some... Yeah. I have some more interesting stuff, because I have somebody who can actually keep my show going for more than 15 minutes, which is great. There was one other thing, I guess, is we didn't mention... maybe because I'll just try to round it up to the hour mark or close to it, is that Terminator movie was, being mentioned too, and that looks really good to me.
I'm starting to have a not so good feeling about that. They just released another, I guess, a teaser trailer, and I read some of where they seem to be going with the storyline, and they kind of just like totally revamped it, apparently. And just the whole thing with Schwarzenegger being an aging Terminator to me is like ridiculous, because obviously the guy's aging in real life, but putting gray hair on him, I'm like, okay, it's an android. How I guess I could say the F word, right?
Yeah.
How the hell can he age when he's an android? It doesn't make any sense to me. If you're a robot / android, however you want to describe it, I know they have to do that, because like when Terminator Salvation, when they CGI'd, it looked pretty stupid. But I was really upset that didn't do better, because I do like Christian Bale, like I said, as John Connor, and I thought there was potential there, but they decided to blow it up again. And from what I'm reading, it's going to be like an alternate universe kind of thing, and I have a feeling it's not going to do well, and maybe they should just put it
to rest.
Put it to bed already. I'll probably go see it. I'd like to see it be good, but it's just I read some potential storylines, and it sounds like, I don't know, they're changing like the whole original premise, or some aspect of it. So I think the second trailer, I don't really recall it that well now, but it kind of raised some more questions. And just from speculation I was reading, they're saying like they think they're changing the whole, timeline, or the whole original. He was coming to kill Sarah Connor.
So,
I don't really know. I'm kind of skeptical, because I don't really know where it's going, and I don't know if it's going to really generate the kind of buzz they hope it will. Obviously,
it looks interesting to me. Now, I remember there was that TV series which had taken a different timeline too. Now, in my opinion,
I liked that show actually.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And honestly,
unfortunately, it was on Fox, and Fox doesn't.
They can everything.
Yeah, they're known for pulling shows pretty quickly at times.
Well, that's the thing. But I wish they would put Summer Glue back in as a Terminator, because that would be somebody I like to go to bed with. Put to bed. No.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yes.
Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
Yes. Does this Terminator depends or anything, because he's up there in age?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. And it's funny because they said, like, he initially gave his backing for Terminator Salvation, and now he's been, like, going around saying how it sucked. And it's like...
Hypocrite.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's almost 90 years old now, so he'll take whatever role he can get. But, I mean, like I said, I'll try to keep an open mind. But, obviously, if they're going to reimagine it and blow it up again, then they're going to want to do another... 2 movies to top this one, and I don't know if it's going to really make enough bank to do that, quite honestly.
Well, the other downfall is maybe possibly his daughter-in-law, Miley Cyrus.
Well, hopefully he won't marry her.
Yeah.
To be smart. Yeah. Who is your girlfriend and what does she do?
He will have to terminate her then. Yeah.
That would be, I'd pay money to see that, and maybe Justin Bieber too would be nice.
No, not him, please. No, I'm just kidding.
And Walter's girlfriend's gained some weight, Selena Gomez, allegedly. So
she's pretty PHAT. Actually, it's FAT, but I would still spank her.
Who is your daddy, and what does he do?
Exactly. Oh, my God, Selena Gomez, I love you. Hey, by the way, it's up to you, but we almost hit an hour mark, so it's been a pretty good show so far. I can round it up here. Do you have any wrap-up stuff?
Yeah, I think we've covered a lot. It was actually very quick and enjoyable for me, my first time out, so hopefully, it wasn't too bad. But, yeah, I mean, I think we touched on a lot of topics, and there's some interesting stuff. Let's go Mets. Yes. There's some interesting stuff coming up this summer, movie-wise, and some of these TV shows are going to be, wrapping up. The May sweeps are coming, so you'll be seeing the season finales and whatnot. But, unfortunately, we have to wait, I think, another year. It's next year for the Superman movie. Star Wars will be this Christmas, which will be cool.
Yes, that's right.
I mentioned the James Bond. That's always out in November. Avengers is only, it's right around the corner. I think it's May 1st. So that's going to be like the first, I think, blockbuster summer movie, if you don't count the Fast and Furious one, which came out in the spring, really. There's a lot to look forward to. It should be interesting. And hopefully we can... after we see some of this stuff, we can comment further about it,
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, Todd, it sounds like it was a good show tonight. I appreciate you having you on.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, yeah, and I hope you do more shows with me, because the shows are actually more interesting. I don't have to worry about, I don't know what to talk about tonight. So, everyone, this is TJT, Todd Thomas, and I hope you enjoyed our show, I should say, iWalter, but it's actually both of us tonight. And I hope you listen in and comment or say, let us know what you thought. Alrighty, everyone, have a good one.
Thank you.
Alrighty, this is Walter. Hey, tonight I got Todd as a guest, as testing this out to see what it sounds like. If you want to say anything, Todd.
Hello there. Hello.